Hey, how's it going? Rant and Chill. Mr. Deadman here. Oh, man. What you guys want to talk about, huh? Want to talk about how Biden's obviously, losing it. He doesn't even know where he's at anymore. Have you seen the way he walks around? And it's like he's lost. I think what the Democrats are doing to him is criminal. Just get rid of him already. Put Kamala in there. Okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter who's the president because the puppet masters behind the scenes are going to run the show, right? The secret cabal that fortified the election, that's the same secret cabal that's going to make sure what they want is done. What that means for you? You think you're getting $15 minimum wage? No, that shit ain't happening. All you progressives, I want that. Guess what? That shit ain't happening. You think you're ever going to get Medicaid for all? No, that shit ain't fucking happening. I think you're going to get stuff that's going to cost corporations a lot of money? No, that shit ain't happening ever. What you can do is you can enjoy your drugs. You can enjoy your brave new world. That's what you can. That's what you can do. That's what you're going to do. Portland decriminalized drug possession of all kinds. Seattle just decriminalized. Actually, Seattle stopped as of, I think, yesterday. They stopped arresting, detaining people solely for drug possession. I'm not making that up. If you're in Seattle right now, the cops can't arrest you for drug possession. They can arrest you for something else. So if you're doing something else and they're like, well, we can hit you up on that. Hey, you could do you, man. You'd be walking around with some a baggie of Snow White. You could be shooting up in the street, chasing the dragon. That already happens in Seattle, though, doesn't it? I mean, Seattle's such a freaking hellhole. You don't need the cops to be told, hey, you can't arrest people without it turning to a massive drug den. Seattle and Portland are pretty much drug dens now. They're drug havens. They are the libertarian wet dream for drugs. The libertarian argument. See why I am dressed the way that I am, huh? First off, let me go ahead and get my coffee. I got my canned coffee here, Mr. Brown Black Coffee. We got at the Asian Mart. Pretty good stuff. Actually, I don't know. I haven't tried it. So we'll try it now. Got my mug. Got my spoon. We're doing this. We're doing this thing. By the way, if you want to know how to use satanic rituals to your advantage, feel free to buy my occult books on the best way to sacrifice cats and babies for Satan to get him to empower you. Oh, you don't know I do that? I do that. My name is Tix Hexenhammer, and that's something I totally do while I talk politics and talk, being a conservative, I don't know, libertarian or whatever. I don't even know. It don't even make sense. Don't even make sense. I mean, summon Satan. Summon the darkness. Mr. Brown's coffee, canned coffee. It's a little sweet, just a little. I like that dark brown coffee, that brown nut coffee, huh? I should stop on that thing. Okay, yeah, but Seattle and Portland are pretty much drug havens. They are the wet dream of lolitarians. And I say that, and I know some might get a little pissy about that, but let's face the reality here. What is the argument that I hear from libertarians about how they don't want government in their life, especially when it comes to like drugs? They want drugs to be legal. They don't want the government to interact with that, tell them what they can and cannot do with their body. I mean, I get that. I don't want the government to tell me whether or not I can. This cigar went out, son of a bitch. I don't want the government to tell me whether or not I can, smoke weed or not. Okay. I don't want the government to tell me that. So I understand where they're coming from there. But at the same time, though, What I don't want, what we don't need, is a bunch of people like just shooting up heroin right there in the damn street on the sidewalk, creating like first off a massive public safety hazard with used needles, used syringes all over the place. Like horrible, man. That thing is lighting. Oh, there we go. I need that. I guess I pissed off the Dark Lord. I guess I upsetted the Father, the Satan, man. I need to sacrifice a baby or a cat to relight the cigar. All right. They'll say drugs are a victimless crime, and that making drugs illegal is just a state using its power and control to tell you what you can and cannot do. On the contrary, though, it seems like the state wants drugs to be legal so that you could be in a mindset to where you're just going to do whatever they want you to do. A population that is on drugs, a population that's sedated with alcohol and weed, opiates, is a population that's not going to revolt. A population that's just going to do what they're told. Russians used vodka as a way to keep their people sedated, and it worked. Well, kind of. Way they also did have revolutions, but you know. Maybe not the best example. No. But okay. So drugs, victimless crime, so should be legal, should be havens. Okay. Just let these cities be drug havens. What's the problem? You got the libertarian wet dream there. The problem I have with that is that drugs are not a victimless crime. And you may disagree with that. That's fine. Let me know in the comment section or in the chat on how they are not a victimless crime. Or sorry, how they are a victimless crime. When you use your drugs, let's say you shoot up heroin, you might say, there's no victim to this. Okay, fine. Maybe no direct victim. Not yet. Not in that equation. If you are by yourself and you're shooting up heroin in your house by the fireplace, no one's going to give a damn. Now, let's say there's somebody else in the home who knows you use. Maybe it's your wife or girlfriend or boyfriend. I don't know what your situation is. Okay? And maybe they're not using, but they notice you're ODing. Okay, so now they take you to the hospital where medical resources are going to be used to treat you, and you're going to be one of many that do that. One of many and a pretty large statistic that go to the hospital because of overdose. Now, so far, is this a victimless crime? I wouldn't say the hospital or the medical system is a victim in this, but they are being used to sustain you because you thought it was a good idea to take a little too much, or you thought it was a good idea to keep on shooting up heroin. How about just don't? How about just don't even start chasing that dragon? Don't even do it once. There's nothing to gain from using it. There's no work-life balance like the Colombian professor. There's no work-life balance from that stuff. Nothing good comes out from opiate use. But it makes me feel good. It makes you feel numb. Maybe you need to ask yourself why you want to feel that numb. Do you hate your life that much? Well, there's always a couple things you could do if you feel that way. Look. You're taken to the hospital because you OD'd. It does put strain on the hospital. It does put strain on the medical system. And that's for sure it's a pretty large number of individuals that are hospitalized for overdoses and drug-related issues, and the vast majority of them are of opiate use. Now, I didn't know this until this morning, looking at these numbers here, but the second, so it's a pretty large number. A lot of people are hospitalized for drug-related issues. We're talking about overdoses here. And most of that is going to be heroin users. But the second largest number is marijuana users. That's right. Hey, all you pot smokers, potheads, look, hey, I agree with you. Is it better to smoke a joint than shoot up heroin? Most definitely, yeah. I would say, yeah, sure. I would be in agreement that, hey, weed's not going to cause any problems. But here's the problem. Some people take weed way too far, way too much. When I say weed's not a problem, I'm just assuming you're smoking one joint maybe every so often. Not smoking 5 joints like an hour and eating a whole brownie, a whole batch of brownies, and eating a whole bag of weed gummy bears. You know, I'm not expecting that. I'm expecting rational use, but you get the rational stuff out the window now. How about that? You like that, Buff? Oh, I took my spoon out of my coffee. I don't think Styx ever does that. Let me do my little. I think this is his way. All right, guys. So yeah, let me tell you some more about how pretty much Seattle and Portland are pretty much a lolitarian haven when it goes to drug use. If you really want to see how drugs are actually not a victimless crime, just go to Seattle, go to Portland. You can see what's going on. Go see what happens when whole communities become ravaged by drug use. It's not good. It's not like when okay, think about what happens. How does a whole town get a drug epidemic of heroin, fentanyl? How does that happen? You get that in the Midwest a lot. You get that. It's all over the place now. What leads into that is depression. What leads into that is a lot of depression. Let's say they had work. Let's say there's a good amount of the population in that town that had work, and that work is no longer available because of no fault of their own, because the government said, you know what, we're going to outsource that job. We're going to ship that job to China. Yeah, I learned the code. And they didn't learn the code. Now they're depressed. Now they hate the government. They hate themselves. They hate their wives. They hate their kids. They're a failure in their life. They would shoot themselves, but they don't have a gun. They don't have the courage to do that. What they do instead is they shoot up fentanyl or shoot up heroin or whatever, become wasted away. Do they produce anything? No. They don't produce a goddamn fucking thing. And you know what, man? I don't have to go too far on this. There was an NPR article a couple years ago, and I brought this up before. You know, things get bad with drug communities, and with drug communities, I mean the vast majority of that group, that population, is using drugs, abusing drugs to the point to where it fucks them over. You know, things get bad when even the drug dealers are saying, maybe it's time to stop. Maybe it's time to stop dealing crack and meth in some parts of, I think it was Del Rio or someplace. And really, I think the reason why they're doing that is because they wanted to host the Olympics. And they had to clean up a little bit. The drug dealers were like, yeah, we need to clean up just a tad. Just a tad. Just to make it look like things are better. Look, what drugs do to a community, especially hardcore drugs like meth and heroin, is so impactful that you could see just by You could just look at the town. You could look at the area of the town and know, yeah, there's drug heads there. That's just a stereotype. You're right. It's a stereotype that's pretty fucking accurate. Pretty goddamn accurate. Let's not fool ourselves about stereotypes and how they start. There's a little bit of truth to that stereotype. Usually is. Not always. But hey, I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to drug use, most definitely. If you're talking to a 40-year-old woman, you are convinced that she's in her 40s, her face is scarred, wrinkled, and all that stuff, and she tells you she's 21? She even produces an ID, says she's 21? Meth head. Meth head. Face of meth, very real, extremely real. Brucey says, my comment got censored. I don't censor comments here. Oh, let me put it on live chat. Say it again, and I'll make sure I catch it. Coffee says, it sounds like cops in those places haven't been arresting, charging people for things worse than drugs for a while at this point. Right? I mean, Seattle and Portland are pretty much, dude, you can do whatever you want over there. I mean, libertarians should just love going over there. I mean, the government doesn't care about crime at all. You could riot. You could twerk in the street at night. You could throw Molotov cocktails at federal buildings. It's crazy what you could do. Just can't run a business, though. They run a business, they're gonna shut you down, tax you high, and they wonder why companies leave. They wonder why no one wants to do business in Seattle and Portland. By the way, one of my new favorite podcasts is this podcast called Seattle. I think it's called Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Why would somebody in Texas care about Seattle Real Estate Podcasts? Because the guy is pretty based. The guy, he doesn't cuss a lot. I don't think he cusses at all. He's very a dad about how he delivers the news, but pretty sound individual. Like, I think he is conservative. I think he reads the news of what's going on there in Seattle, and it's crazy, man. Things you probably aren't going to know about because you're not being told about it. But apparently, all those people that say, don't worry about the riots because insurance is going to cover it. Don't worry about the looting and the destruction of the buildings and all that stuff because insurance is going to cover it. Guess what? Insurance ain't fucking covering it. In fact, if anything, insurance companies are fucking leaving. And when the insurance companies leave and you have no one to insure your businesses, it's over. It's over. And right now, Seattle and Portland are just a stack. They're a house of cards waiting to crumble, and it's going to fall, and they're going to have they're going to blame everyone else. They're going to blame white supremacy. You know that's going to happen. They're going to blame everyone else. They're going to blame Trump. They're going to blame the coronavirus. They're going to blame everyone. But not their high taxes, not their Marxist approach to bullshit. But hey, you know what though? While Seattle might not be a small government, it seems like they do hate businesses and want to crush them. Libertarians, if you want to have a libertarian utopia, hey, go to Seattle, go to Portland. You might have that. Yeah, I think it definitely challenges that argument about especially drug use. Prostitution's legal over there now, right? It has to be. I have no idea if prostitution is legal in Seattle or in Portland, but let me tell you, if you're in downtown, it doesn't look like they're going to be arresting you at all anyway, especially if you're black. They ain't doing shit over there. Now, some people may try to correct me, be like, Mr. Deadman, you don't have your facts straight. First off, I'm saying a lot of this stuff in jest off the cuff. I may not. But I try to. Here's something. Let me clear something up. Technically speaking, is the government hands off on these drug charges in Seattle and in Portland? Let's talk about Oregon. Oregon. So Oregon decriminalized drug possession of all small amount of drug possession. So large amounts you could still be arrested for, but small amounts you'll be fined for. How much is this fine? $100. No, like, so the officer gives you a ticket for $100. Do they take your drug away? What if you're like, no, I'm going to keep it. You just find me $100. I'll keep my drug. It's going to be gone in a little bit. Don't worry, officer. You want to see me use, but I'm about to use right now. Not only is it $100, but they'll refer you to a treatment center. They could. And some of those treatment centers, and I do recommend, if you know someone who's battling drug addiction, yeah, they need help. They need to go to a treatment center, but also screen your treatment centers. Know what you're going into. Some of these places, from what I've read, from what I've heard, are not trying to really recover the patients, but it's almost like they're trying to keep a client for lifetime, meaning that they know that there's drug users around the rehab place, and they're just going to get back on. They're going to have a moment of weakness. And it's bad. It's bad. In fact, a lot of people refuse to stay in those treatment places because they want to use. They would rather be on the street and use. You know why look, dude, there's homeless centers all over the place. There are actually quite a bit of what you probably don't know about Seattle and Portland is that there's actually a lot of services to address the homelessness. But the problem is a lot of the homeless people do not want to go into those buildings or into those services because they would rather use drugs. They would rather use drugs out there on the street. They can't use drugs in those buildings. They can't use drugs while receiving those services, but they can use drugs while they're on the street. In the cold, oh well, that's why we got a barrel of fire. It's so goofy. You can offer services, you can be nice, but it doesn't mean people will take it. And you wonder why. Because drugs is a big motivator. People love drugs. And when they get hooked on that shit, they ain't stopping that shit. Honestly, it would be better if drugs weren't even in society at all. If we can all agree that weed would be the only one, that'd be fine. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's like I said earlier, I think part of this, I don't know if they're aware of this, but I think part of this is like some sort of Brave New World envision. Think about what's happening here. Some people say we're living in 1984. I don't know about that. Maybe. I see the parallels. But what about Brave New World? And Brave New World, the futuristic society, was all about happiness, keeping its people happy, keeping them sedated with soma, keeping them segregated by class, have the alphas on top, have the, I'm forgetting if they're betas or deltas or whatever, that the people that are pretty much doing the labor, which would be the equivalent of the cheap labor that comes across the border, the cheap labor we use from India or China. The little African boys that mine for our mine for precious minerals so that we can have our iPhones, and the Uyghurs that are forced to make them because they're Uyghurs. I see a lot of parallels with Brave New World. I do. We do keep ourselves sedated. Oh yeah, just smoke. Just smoke. Keep yourself high. Don't even think about the problems. Don't worry about the problems. Just believe the lies, believe the stuff you want to hear because it makes you happy. Enjoy your sex. Enjoy your drugs. Nothing to see here. It's crazy, you know? Because if the government really didn't want drugs in its country, it could really work on fighting that. Like the war on drugs, they say that was a failure. Of course it was a failure because there was never really real motivation to fight it because people love drugs and drugs fund things. That's how you make money. If you're not going to get the backing of the Senate to fund your military campaigns, then you can get that funding through crack. How can you fight a drug war when the government is dealing drugs? How can you fight a drug war when the government is in bed with those that deal drugs, that make the drugs? You know fentanyl comes from China, right? Fentanyl comes from China. Fentanyl, and there was another drug I was talking about years ago called Flocka. That stuff manufactured in China comes from China. Comes from China. That stuff is fucking crazy. Flocka, never, ever, ever use. I don't care how fucking low you are. And I know when you're in those low states, you don't listen to anything. You're not thinking rational. You're just thinking, I just want this low moment to end. I know. I've been there. Okay. Look at me. Do I look like a man that's never battled depression before? Look at me. Seriously, look into these eyes. Does these look like the eyes of someone who's never battled depression and suicide before? Come on, man. Before I had a family, I smelled of suicide just about every day. I understand, man. Very depressed moments. You feel like the world's caving in. You feel like no one cares. No one gives a shit. You feel like, man, if I just erase myself, no one would care. Those low moments where it's like you start smoking more weed. Those low moments where you're like, maybe I could. If someone were to offer me heroin now, I probably would have said yes. I don't know. I know in those moments, no one can really get you out of that except for yourself. Maybe someone can try to get you thinking about your situation. Okay. All right. But my point of bringing that up is it does no good, though, to have like drugs around when people are like that. That's how you get those communities that are just ravaged by fentanyl and heroin and opiates, just popping pills. There's a lot of towns in the Midwest. There's a lot of towns that are just empty. They should be ghost towns, but there's people living there. And they're essentially ghouls. There's nothing there but loneliness and despair. And keep in mind, that loneliness and despair, part of who's responsible would be the government, saying, hey, you guys can't, the line of work you do, like, let's say it's mining for coal. Guess what? We're shutting the coal mine down because the environment. Motherfucker, I don't want to hear anyone say they were doing something for the environment or whatever. Like with the Keystone Pipeline, then we'll shut that down because of the environment. Oh, how is shipping oil from Saudi Arabia less impactful to the earth? Right? A pipeline is less impactful. Yeah, sure, a pipeline may have a spill every now and then, but so do ships, so do boats. Oh my God, these people are so fucking idiotic and stupid. The ones that are really dumb and stupid are the ones who buy it, who buy into the lies because they're fucking cheap. I don't want to hear anybody tell me who voted for Biden. Oh, I care about the earth. Okay. All right. At the same time, like people like AOC, when you hear people be like, oh, we got to worry. Global warming, we got to worry. Yeah, they're buying beachfront property. They're putting investments in beachfront property. I guess they're not really worried about losing their investment, are they? What was I going to say? I got off track there. Went to that. Oh, I think it was about how the government lies. How the government will tell you anything you want to hear. You know? Oh, that's right. Shutting down coal mines for the sake of the environment. That's why. Yeah. So the government will do things to destroy these people's livelihoods, leave them with nothing, and not give a fucking damn, not give a shit when they just implode into self-loathing and hatred and using drugs and alcohol abuse to wash it down. Fighting Fedora libs are retarded. They are immoral, looking for any story to tell that makes them look good, look immoral. Yeah. Are there rational liberals? Are there liberals that have good intentions and they actually care, and maybe they see it too? Are there some that see the hypocrisy and have a problem with it? Maybe. There's conservatives that lie to you too. You know, when it comes to politicians, I don't really trust either side of the aisle at this point. You know, they're gonna say what they want, and they're gonna get involved in the wars and foreign interests, and it's like we don't really have much of a say, do we? In that line of thinking, it's like, you know what? If you have a beer, crack one open. Hey, you battle alcoholism, you might as well, because your life is short. Don't listen to that advice. Don't listen to that advice. Not good advice. But I would understand the mentality. You might as well, because life is short. In this life, we can't really do anything else but sit in the back seat and fucking drink, can we? Riding with Biden. Biden's not even driving it. Who's driving it? Who's working behind the scenes? They want to take the nuke away from Biden. Why do they want to take the nuke from Biden? Why does Nancy Pelosi want the nuke codes? Want to be able to nuke? Ask yourself that. This is why they got Biden in there. They wanted a president in there. That's just going to be a placeholder so they could do anything and everything they want. I don't even think Biden is aware of where he's at. Have you seen the videos of him walking around confused? Where are all the stories about him having dementia on mainstream? When Trump said some weird stuff, had a moment of gaps, they would be like, oh, he has dementia. When Biden does it, and Biden's obviously confused. There's nothing to it. Nothing there, huh? See, on that line of thinking, I could see why people turn to drugs. I can. The people who wake and bake every day because their life sucks, I could see why they do it. I can see that side. I can. I don't think it's the way to live. But as far as like, let's get back to that. Drugs being victimless crime. I suppose your drug use could be victimless if you managed it. If it's something like weed, easy to manage. Easy to fucking manage. Don't eat the whole batch of brownies. Okay? But it's something like heroin. I don't know how you're supposed to manage that. I think you thinking you can manage that is delusion. I think you're lying to yourself if you think you can manage that like that professor in Columbia. But yeah, as far as drugs being victimless, maybe you do manage your heroin use for a little while. Okay, all right. But then there's families that will, because their meth use, because their addiction, because they want that fix, they're willing to sell their own kids for drugs. And I mean, pimp their kids out. They're willing to sell their 14-year-old girl's booty hole so they can get another meth rock or get some crystal. I mean, that's not victimless. There's people that smoke crystal or get high on heroin and do fucked up shit. Or smoke crystal and they hit up a joint, try to, rob it, or they do some, violent crime. Because meth doesn't sedate you. It doesn't keep you chill. If anything, it hypes you up. It's like crack, but lasts for fucking hours. I don't know personally. I've never used. Just from what I've seen, from what I read. But anyone in the chat ever used meth? You want to tell me what it's like? And you got to think about the families involved. The family is involved. Let's say your family cares about you. They see what's happening. They're trying to help you, trying to get you to stop. But you refuse. You refuse because you think you don't need to stop. You don't have a problem. And you'd rather go on the path of drugs than listen to the advice and do what's right. So are they part of it too? Yes, they are. Are they being hurt? Are they being impacted? Yes, they are. So is that victimless? I don't see it so. Like I said, it's not a direct victim there. But they're being impacted. And what drug use does to families, it destroys them, man. It can. And you have a bunch of families that are destroyed in that sort of way. It leads a small community that's just gutted. With no hope. Total despair. Meanwhile, like I said, got a segue here. Hi, I'm Mr. Deadman, okay? I dabble in Satanism and in the occult. And if you want to buy one of my books about how to summon Satan to do your bidding, feel free to do so, okay? You can learn how to sacrifice cats and babies for to summon the dark spirit. That way, you could be as smart as me. I don't know. That is a weird thing about Styx. This thing with the occult and how it meshes with his libertarian views is interesting. I would talk to him just for that. Like, how does that work? How does that mesh? It doesn't seem like it would mesh very well. Dude, I want to summon Satan and then talk about politics. How about you go summon Satan? And I don't really want to hear what you say about politics. Then again, why would anybody want to listen to some... Yeah, I understand. Now, people talk about politics all the time, but it's like, okay. Personally, the political side of this, because there is a political side. You know, you got the right that was all like anti-drugs. We got to fight drugs. The conservatives, we got to fight drugs. The war on drugs. Meanwhile, the government was selling drugs, using drugs to fund secret wars across the world, across the globe. I guess throughout the globe, I should say. That's real news. Maybe the Republicans, the conservatives are like anti-drugs and pro-drug war. Maybe they actually were serious and they were actually trying to fight it. But you had the other side, maybe the Democrats. They were pretty hard on it too. Well, no. They were hard on what they were trying to do with Biden and Clinton. They were trying to pass things with super predators. I forgot, what was it? What was that act? Where pretty much they went hard on black males in those communities where the CIA had dumped crack. So they knew there was a crack problem. They knew that there was going to be violent crime because of it. So they just wanted to make sure to pass an act to protect their own. If anything, the families that are ravaged by crack should be in the right to sue the government for money. But good luck doing that. Look out, there's a dead man. There's a tiger behind you. What? Tiger? Dude, no. The tiger's the best thing. I know it looks crooked. It does look crooked. It's been like that for a while. I don't care. It's crooked. And it's hiding the Satanism. You could see it. Do you see that the two posters back there? It's hiding that. I'm evil? I am pure evil. Brucey, you don't know? I'm total evil, man. I'm so freaking evil, man. I know. Think about Stick, Sex, and Hammer a little bit. About his thing with the occult. I had a thing for the occult. Or I guess dabbling into Wicca and Satanism and all that stuff. But that was in high school. That was in high school when I was one of those kids that would wear a trench coat. And it's actually a duster. Which is a Western trench coat. More like a, like a cowboy coat. The sort of trench coat that you see like those gunslingers wear. Kind of like that. I wore that pre-Columbine and after Columbine. I wore it because I was like, I'm going to show that not everybody who wears a coat is actually crazy. Yet, I fit the criteria. If they wanted to question me, they'd be like, this guy is probably crazy. And so, listen to Rammstein, played a lot of Doom, played Duke 3D, made levels in Duke 3D based on the school, also my house, my friend's house, so we all did. And drew like crazy pictures of like decapitated people and stuff. And I was fucking warped. There was no drugs involved. Shit. And then I looked at my situation and was like, you know what? I'm gonna get fucking laid. I'm gonna get fucking laid. I'm gonna ditch this shit. I'm gonna ditch this fucking shit. So the last year of high school, I went, not really prep, but I ditched that shit. And things were better. And then college and all that. Before I say that, is that I don't understand how anyone could really dabble in Wicca and Satanism and the occult and actually like buy into it and believe into it. It's like, come on, man, that stuff is goofy. It's goofy shit. It's stuff that edgy teenagers do. So, looks like I pretty much talked about Seattle and Portland being drug havens now. See, I mean, a libertarian wet dreams as far as when it comes to drug use and actually being allowed to do pretty much anything they want without being arrested for it. So there you go. Other than running a business. What else is on your guys' mind? Let's do a Sunday chill session right here. What do you guys want to talk about? What do y'all want to talk about, bro? Let's see. Dead air. No, I'm just thinking what else. I mean, already laughed about Biden going crazy, showing himself to be even more incompetent. The guy has dementia. What they're doing is mean. I mean, you could tell that if you judge it based on Cuomo, you could tell that Democrats hate old people. You know? I mean, yesterday I was trying to follow up on some of the Nick Fuentes, Goiper, PPP drama stuff. I was trying to. AFPAC. I guess we'll get into that. Now, I didn't watch the live stream of the AFPAC because I don't trust Nick Fuentes' the stuff. I don't trust it. I don't trust Nick Fuentes or any of that stuff. I didn't want to watch it and then be questioned by the FBI. Have my information leaked to the FBI. But I try to follow it up, and apparently, of course, on the farms, on the Kiwi farms, right? I mean, a lot of streamers will pretend they get their information from elsewhere. Maybe they get some elsewhere, but you know where they get it. After talking about internet drama and internet dirt and Goipers and PPP and all that stuff, the gun and all that. You know where they're getting their information from. Come on. It's no secret. Yeah, let's talk Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. What's going on with Dungeons and Dragons? Give me some more information on what's going on with it, and I will do it. The live stream is P2P. Your IP is public. Yep. You have to use a VPN to watch the stuff. But from what I understand, his speech... Oh, wait. Hold on here. Chat, maybe you guys can inform me. I'm going to ask you guys. Is it true that the AFPAC had a bunch of Star of Davids and was more friendly towards homosexuals and mixed races and all that stuff compared to last year's or their last event? Not last year's, but compared to the first one. I heard that was a big deal. That pretty much it looked like Nick Fuentes is trying to go mainstream. Well, really, I still believe he's being investigated by the FBI. There's no way he's not. You cannot convince me that Nick Fuentes is not being tapped into by the FBI. America First was right there in the Capitol. And everyone that was in the Capitol has been questioned. I mean, you see the way they talk about conservatives on mainstream media. You got people that are in the CIA or part of the CIA or ex-CIA, whatever, saying that they need to approach conservatives or a MAGA Trump people as if they were like Taliban or ISIS on mainstream TV, on CNN, MSNBC. They're talking about that stuff, that approach. So of course he's being screened. Of course he's being questioned. I mean, Nick Fuentes is a massive hypocrite, saying he's for traditional values and he's a Catholic, a traditional Catholic, and that he's against Hispanics or whatever. He's Hispanic. He's not traditional. He's a manlet that lives with his mom in his mom's basement. He puts on a good act. Nick Fuentes is a good orator. Orator. He's good at giving speeches. Okay? There you go. Compliment sandwich. Nick Fuentes might be a flaming homosexual, which I'm surprised that Nick Fuentes' defenders are white knights and Nick Fuentes don't see that or don't care, because that is a massive, I think, thorn in his side, because it's like he's a flat out hypocrite there. But he delivers a good speech every now and then. Well, it sounds good when the way he presents it. The information in it, guys, I'm not part of that. My wife's Hispanic. My kids are mixed. Hell, shit, I'm mixed. I'm pretty sure I have some Jew in me. I'm not good in finance, but I don't like spending money. And I may or may not have done something for a while after consuming 6 beers and a couple of shots of Captain Morgan. But that was college years, man. That was 10 years ago. That's right. So when I tell Susan, hey, give me a pass, I sucked a dick before, I could say the word faggot. I think it's funny. I think it's funny that Nick Fuentes is that massive hypocrite. And now FPAC 2 was more woke, more diverse. Yeah, Star David's there. Which doesn't matter, because you saw the way people were talking about FPAC 2 on Twitter. The journalists were like, look at all these people, they're white nationalists and stuff like that. Now, wait a minute, dead man. I could wait a minute. At least you're not PO. Oh yeah, I'm not a furry. I would never be a furry. There's no amount of alcohol that would make me a furry. No amount of money either. If I put a donate to me and I'll become a furry, if I try to do that, first off, the optics of that wouldn't look good at all. But it would just be a massive grift. And at the end, I wouldn't even do it. I'd be like, thank you guys for buying me some cigars and more alcohol, but I'm not going to be a furry. I would do that, but that would be like a long con. Literally gayer than anything BO has ever said. Not true. Not true. Can't be. Phantom's pro furry. That's pretty gay. Anyway. Back to... Oh, about the drama stuff. So, okay. What's going on here? So yeah, PPP's been dunking on Nick Fuentes for a while. The Chaggett stream was hilarious. I thought it was pretty funny. It was more, actually, I thought it was actually more sad than it was funny, because Chaggy just kept on talking, and the more he talked, it was like, dude, you're not doing yourself any favors. Like, when PPP said you're homosexual, what, you to come out and come to terms with it, like, I think he was just fuck with you, dude, and just mess with you, like you're troll, but he didn't do himself any favors at all. It's like, okay, yeah, you are homosexual, and also you're a pill popper, you love pills, and the part that was sad for me is that Chagget, like many kids that were abused, he doesn't see himself as the victim. He sees himself as the problem. I said that, but I hesitated because Chagget does love being the victim, huh? Probably not the right word. Chagget loves to be the perpetual victim. Victim for the win. He does have a victim complex. He does. But when it comes to his parents, the way his parents raised him, what they did to him, Chagget makes excuses for that. Maybe on a later stream, we can go into detail as far as what it's like at a psychiatric hospital. Because I worked at one for about 5 years, or 4 or 5 years. And a lot of those kids were from California, Chicago, out of state. I don't think Chagget was ever there. I don't know what hospital Chagget went to. I don't think it was the one I worked at. I don't think so. I don't recall it dealing. But even if he had, I probably would have been there. And besides, there's so many facilities. But the world is small. The many years ago, the shooter in Santa Monica, that kid, he used to be a Devereaux kid. Yeah, I used to work at Devereaux. And there's been some fine apples that came out from that place. Anyway, we can do that in a later stream. That'd be interesting. But what I want to get into, though, is that what is this stuff, like the PPP thread on Kiwi Farms is like turned against him or something. Like, oh, PPP has capos now, some stupid drama that honestly, and I mean this, I started reading into it. It's like, I don't care. It seems kind of petty. It seems kind of silly and stupid. I don't know. I don't care. And it's not even really newsworthy. It's just something about like PPP and Godwinson having some sort of issue. I don't know. Godwinson saying that if PPP goes like the Sargon route with all this, that he might like, he'd have to like not partner with him. I mean, what is the Sargon route? I mean, how's PPP doing the Sargon with American First? And that he's taking it real? And that he actually cares about American First? For the record, I mean, just make sure you know that I do think it's a good idea for America to take its own I've been worded this in the way. I think it's right now. I think it's it's the best interest of every country, just about, especially every Western country, to start looking at their own interests and do that. This whole globalism push, it's a huge problem and a cancer. Having China manufacture everything, being solely dependent on China, is not a good idea. Because when it comes time to punish them for human rights abuses, you really can't do it, can you? Because they make your toys, they make your medicine. But with the PPP stuff, I couldn't tell if they were trolling. I couldn't tell what was going on, and it seemed really, really petty. Some stuff about like some Discord issues. I have no idea. I looked at it. I was like, okay, I don't care. Like, this is like high school drama. This is like, oh, it was stupid petty stuff like PvP's friends with this person. Oh my God. You know, it's like, who cares? How much time do you guys spend on the internet? Like, when I'm not streaming, I'm not on the internet. Well, I guess I'm watching YouTube videos or whatever, but what I'm saying is I'm not like invested in the forums and all that. My investment in the forums and looking for information is like maybe an hour before I stream to kind of get some ideas, and then maybe an hour or when I'm taking a shit. When I'm taking a shit, instead of watching porn, because recovering Coomer here, I read fucking message boards until if what I read becomes like so boring, it's like, okay, then I might want to fire up some big titty Japanese porn. But shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Don't fall into it. So, let's see. Fighting Fedora want to talk about SJW D&D. Writers decide to make orcs less evil because otherwise it'd be compared to black people. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this story is old, but it is true. It's an old story, but it's true. It's true. SJW D&D writers. Orcs are racist because orcs are black people. If you are the one who makes that comparison, you are the racist. If you see orcs as being black people, or orcs being described as aggressive, angry, violent, and you say, oh, that's like black people, then you yourself are the racist. Congratulations, liberals. Congratulations, SJWs. You are the racist. You are the racist. But they don't see it that way. But a lot of this SJW stuff is their projection. Look at Robin DiAngelo's White Fragility. That's one massive projection. I described it as a Dear Diary. I felt awkward at some sort of like picnic because there's black people at the table. Shouldn't they sit with their own? Should I sit with them? Am I allowed to sit with them? I feel awkward about this. That's Robin DiAngelo. That's more or less what she said in White Fragility. She's a racist. She's a racist trying to say how to be anti-racist. How about she get over her issues or join a Klan rally? Of all people that could be hooked on fentanyl, Robin DiAngelo is one of them. That would be a victim. That would be a victimless crime right there. Orcs are supposed to represent white man's degradation. All right. Yeah, see? They're just orcs are a totally different species, right? Or totally, yeah. They're not human. They're fantasy creatures. If you see an orc and you see a black person, like I said, you are the racist. Then you have elves that are like considered high class. What they're gonna say, oh, that's like white supremacy there. We gotta get rid of elves. But you have humans though. What are humans though? SJWs are really confused on that. A year, I think 2 years ago, a year ago, I had a Dead Man's Tome podcast where I talked to a fantasy writer that was very social justice warrior. And I forgot her name, tried to tell me that fantasy characters are actually based on real life races. So the parallels are very important. It's like, what are you talking about? You sound insane. And they're like, no, this is real. Now, of course, I'm pretty nice on the podcast, or when I have guests on. So I didn't ask it that way. I was like, tell me more about that. What do you mean? What do you mean? I'd be like, oh yeah. So I mean, the idea was that these fantasy creatures and races and stuff that you see are driven from real life things. So if some fantasy writer writes a fantasy race, while it might seem like a fantasy, part of it is based in reality because were inspired by something. Let's say if the race has, I don't know if they were like a ninja type or kind of look like they kind of follow some sort of samurai code, then it would be like, okay, so there's a parallel with that race, some sort of looks like it's driven from Japanese culture or whatever. I'd be like, would that be problematic? Like, well, yeah, because Japanese were dominant. They're racist, you know. I was like, okay, wait, that doesn't make any sense though, because you could have a completely weird fantasy creature, fantasy race, and it doesn't, like, you could have people that are like fire people, and then their body's just made out of fire or something. You know, what is that? I mean, you could have I don't understand. I can't follow that logic. I'm having difficulties coming with a hypothetical here right now because it's so ass backwards. Doesn't make any sense, especially in a fantasy world where you have humans. And with the humans, you have races of humans. And then you have orcs. And then you have elves. And then you have dark elves. Oh, dark elves are racist. No, dark elves are a different type of elf. And you have wood elves. And then you have cat people. Then you don't have any dog people. I don't see dog people. I guess, are there dog people? In D&D, is there a tribe of dog people? I don't know. They're like, oh, the cat race is based on furries. Okay, then purge it. Get rid of it. You know? No, but and about that thing about how a lot of these SJWs are projecting their racism onto everything. They're projecting their own intolerance, their own racist views on everything. I wonder what's going to happen in the future, in the upcoming future. Like, are they gonna make shows solely for white people and shows solely for black people? And well, I mean, they kind of already exist, doesn't it? You have the BET. Is that still a thing? But what I think is hilarious is that they don't see that. They don't recognize that they themselves are the problem, and that they're trying to, it's like they're trying to purge their own racism by saying that everyone's racist and make it like a societal thing. No, how about you deal with your own issues, deal with your own stuff. Fighting Fedora. If you enjoy fantasy novels, give the series the Malazan Book of the Fallen a try. The first book of Guardian of the Moon. The audiobooks are top notch. Yeah, dwarves are based. Oh, I totally forgot about dwarves. I must not think midgets are people. Dwarves aren't midgets. Well, you know, a midget with a pretty damn good beard, okay? Midgets that know how to handle their alcohol. Yeah, dwarves are pretty good, though. Dwarves are cool. I mean, as far as our future content goes, future shows and movies, well, because of COVID, we don't really have to worry about too much, do we? But shows are going to bring in, no longer is it just about the token black guy or the token gay guy. Now, pretty much everyone's gay. So you have the the token straight man. Not even. And then when you get a show that's good, let's say like The Mandalorian, you tear it down. You tear it down. I think anymore we have to constantly create our own content. Any content creator that creates a comic or TV show or it's really going to be like an internet series that is something you really enjoy, back them as much as you can. Help them get the backing, help them get the funding, because that's what it is here. Hollywood's out of ideas. They've been out of ideas for a while, regurgitating the same movies over and over again. Marvel's going to have a problem. Disney's going to have a problem with Marvel stuff because they're digging into comic book characters no one gives a fuck about. No one cares. Look, I'm not a comic book guy. I kind of think I might be very similar to, I guess, I don't know if you call them like normies or whatever. I know the basic comic book characters. I read, I think, 2 comics and then some graphic novels. But what I'm saying here is, even with that limited exposure, I know who the X-Men are. I know who, of course I know who Captain America is. I know who Iron Man is. I know those characters. Everyone knows who the Hulk is. Everyone knows who Superman is. Everyone knows who Batman is. But when you start digging into characters that are like literal who's, like Captain Marvel. Who the fuck is Captain Marvel? They don't even know. They had to rewrite Captain Marvel multiple times because they didn't even have a good Captain Marvel. Well, amazing. Now that the sidekick characters from the Avengers get their shows, like what's it called, the Witch Vision or whatever it's called, WandaVision. Okay, and for what it's worth, I kind of liked WandaVision's. I like how they played homage to the various TV shows, like the black and white I Love Lucy stuff. I like that. I liked how when they did the very 90s Malcolm in the Middle. That was pretty funny. But do I care about that show? Not really. No. I also don't care about who's the black chick supposed to be. She's supposed to be Photon or whatever it's supposed to be. I have no idea. I don't know the character. I don't care about that character. And really, that side of the story, if you haven't seen WandaVision, when you, what's her name? Kate shit. What's the actress name? I just see her as the chick that was in the 40-year-old virgin. Big cans, but she's supposed to be the doctor, like the scientist. Not buying that. Don't believe that. Not very convincing. Oh, Fighting Fedora says, I can't wait for the Marvel movie of Squirrel Girl. Oh yeah, that's be great. That's what they're getting to, aren't they? They're getting to Squirrel Girl. Amazing. When you're out of, when your business model is pretty much, okay, we're going to take these old comics, harvest them for content, or actually mine them for content, Well, when the mind's depleted, what do you have? And that's their situation now. They're gonna have to do it again. They're gonna reboot. They're gonna reboot Iron Man. That sounds kind of silly for them to reboot Iron Man, but how long do you think it'll take before they do? Be like, Iron Man's problematic because Tony Stark is white. A rich white guy. That's racist. That's white supremacy there. It's literally a white billionaire supreme above everybody else. Let's not make it a woman because that's not progressive enough. Let's make it a man that identifies as a woman. Let's make it trans and black. There you go. And body positive. Okay. Let's address fat shaming. So then you're going to have like a 400-pound black trans person playing the new Tony Stark. Who the fuck is going to watch that? How the fuck do you make that convincing? You can't. Anytime you put a fat person in a lead in a superhero show, it comes off as a parody, as a joke. You cannot make a fat superhero convincing. It just does not work. No one is going to buy into that a fat person could run fast, can fly, and all that. It's just going to look like an SNL skit. It's just going to look like a fucking joke. But don't they have a new, doesn't Marvel have a new fat lead character? I saw it. I think I did a commentary video on it. Yeah, I think the cigars actually affect me. Shit. I'm pretty fucking mellow right now. Chill the fuck out. Let's see. Fat Marvel superheroes. Yeah, villains that are fat. Because, it's easy to make a fat villain. Let's see. Fat female Marvel characters. What was it? What was her name? Some new chick. I can't recall. But yeah, wait. Is this real? This is real. Overweight superheroes. Oh my god. You cannot make overweight superheroes a thing. It just doesn't work. No one's going to buy into it. First off, it doesn't even work as a comic because it takes too much space. I mean, you're going to need a whole page for your character. If you need a whole page for your fucking character, you don't have enough room. You don't have enough room for that shit. Not fat shaming, just being real, man. I don't remember her name. I think it was something like Sparkle, some silly name. Power Girl? Is it Power Girl to try to make Power Girl fat? Let's see, there's an article here. Take a look at it. Loading a website. Oh, OBS is going to freak out. I'm getting a new computer eventually. Oh, Faith. That's her name. Faith. This is what I'm talking about. Let me put it on the screen here. Put this here. And then put this here. This is Faith. She's an overweight superhero. What does she do? I have no fucking idea. Apparently she flies or something. And she takes up the sun. Maybe she fights you by giving massive hugs. Let's see. There'll be, oh, I didn't. Oh, shit. Need to undo that. What the fuck did I just do? I hit Control F on the OBS thing and not on the. Okay, there we go. I think that's it screwed up that size. That's what that did. Oopsie, oopsie. Let me do Control F here. Let me find where they talk about Faith's powers. I'm curious. I'm curious now what Faith does. Faith. What does she do? Lastly, more recently, a comic superhero named Faith, who has come into the scene back again, first appeared in JLA number 69 in 2002. She instills flight. Oh my god. No, she doesn't. She instills flight. How? Maybe because of all the food she eats. She's really gassy, and she just farts a lot. I know it sounds really dumb, but comic book logic doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's be real here. Okay, she farts, really gassy farts, and it makes her fly. Telepathy. Okay, that's not as bad as the next one. Teleportation. So Faith, the overweight chick, can teleport. And she can smother. Look at this. This is. What the hell is this on the screen? This is Pink Pearl. Pink Pearl. What? What? Look how many rolls she has. Look how fat she is. What? It looks like Clayface from Batman. Come on now. You can't be fucking serious with this shit. It comes off as a joke. But Faith, let's go back to what Faith looks like here. Faith, this wonderful person, apparently can teleport. Okay. Wow. Wow. Her body must be working overtime to teleport that. That's fucking insane. Can you imagine that? What do you believe this? I mean, the part of like a superhero is that I know it's superhero logic, so it doesn't make any sense anyway. Teleportation is like, okay, all right, you just made that one up. But if it's like this overweight chick, it's like, come on now, come on. Could she have a more realistic power, like making craters? She makes craters when she walks. And she could use she makes sinkholes, okay? When Faith jumps and crashes down, she uses her gassy powers to fly, and she cannonballs down, and she becomes a bomb. She's pretty much like, she farts herself into the sky, puts herself over Thanos, and just drops. Thanos is not seeing it, okay? He's distracted. And then even if you just try to run away, Thanos can't get out fast enough because there's just no way. She's too big for that. She's too large for that. Not even the Flash could run. I know the Flash, totally different DC universe, but come on now. Not even the Flash could get out before her fat ass impacts the ground, smothering him, crushing him. Thanos would die. And that way, I think Faith would be able to take out Thanos. But only that way. Only that way. want to see that happen. I would actually watch that movie. If they did it that way, that would be a problematic approach. That would be mean. That would be fat shaming. But it'd be hilarious if Faith propelled herself into the sky. Maybe she goes like into outer space and she becomes like, what is that weapon? Oh shit. Fuck. You guys might know about it. I know it's like I don't know if it's like a hypothetical or I don't know if they tested it out, but it's a weapon that the U.S. military claims to have or whatever, where they can pretty much drop like an iron rod from orbit, and when it crashes down, it has so much impact that it's just going to decimate. It's just going to destroy. That's Faith. Faith could be that weapon. And it wouldn't kill her. She'd be fine. Or maybe she's weakened and she needs to do another mukbang to recover. When she teleports, does a rascal scooter go with? That's funny. Oh, shit. That was good. That was good. Now I need to take care of this. My window of boxing was screwed up because of what I did. I hit Control F and it screwed up this. Skeleton inner bounds. Alright, let me fix this live. Oh, it's not fixing now. I'll take care of that later. Anyway, I just want to do that. Show you guys. Well, actually, I'm curious about this Pearl chick. So this Pearl chick is a totally different person. There's Bouncing Boy. Bouncing Boy was a superhero for DC. Big Bertha. All right, so Bouncing Boy first appeared in Action Comics number 276 in 1961. Bouncing Boy has the ability to expand his body to a sphere-like shape, being a ball in a sense, and bounce anywhere and everywhere. Yes, but why do you need Bouncing Boy when you have a Superman who can do pretty much everything and anything? Come on now. This stuff is such a freaking joke. You have the Blob. Okay. Kingpin. I mean, Kingpin makes sense being fat, being big, and also being a villain. Okay. But then you have someone like Faith. Come on. Come on now. The Rod of God. Is that what they call it? I think you're right about that. It sounds like a really cool name. The Rod of God. Rod of God space weapon. Now, have they tested this? Is this a... I mean, where would you test? You would have to test it on some remote island. There were people there, but there's no people there anymore. You know? The Rod of God. Project Thor. That's right. The kinetic bombardment. All right. Sounds like a weapon from Command & Conquer. I mean, the ion cannon. The Rod of God. Cool, cool, cool. Get biblical with that shit. All right. So I think we had some fun here on the stream. I think we had some fun. Talked about drug haven, drug capital over there in Seattle and Portland. Hey, If we want to be able to walk around with drugs on you, you can do that in Seattle right now. The cops can't arrest you, apparently. But it's limited time. Apparently that's done because there's an issue with the way the law was written. So they're gonna work on that. They're gonna approach that in a different way. You watch. But hey, for the time, hey, you can walk around with a little bit of cocaine on you, some heroin. You'll be fine. But it's not like you need a law for that anyway. It's not like you need the police to be told, hey, you can't arrest people for possession, not in Seattle, because come on now. You go to downtown, or not even just downtown, other parts too. You could just see drug dens, drug markets out there in the open. Yeah, sure, I don't live in Seattle. So what do I know about it? You don't have to take my word for it. I mean, once again, plug my new favorite podcast, the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. Check it out on YouTube. The guy, he goes into it. He will tell you the stories. He'll tell you it. And he sees it. Open drug markets right there in Seattle. Cops ain't doing shit about it. They can't do anything about it. Cops pretty much have a hands-off approach. And like I said before, if all you libertarians would be like, hey, victimless crime, legalize drugs, tax it, whatever, or legalize drugs, let people just do whatever. Cool, man. Now they're going to do all that out in the open. And what does that do? Well, it destroys your fucking community. That's what it fucking does. That's what it goddamn does. And if you don't believe me, go look up areas that are hit with a lot of drug users, a lot of drug addiction, and see what happens. See what they look like. Are they areas you want to raise a family in? No, they're not. They're not. Far from it. And if you say yes, oh, well, I might have to ask you some questions about what you want to do with your kids. Bot awful. Take the jacket off? Oh, then I lose the stick sting. Come on. Anyway, I guess I should sign off with what does Stick say a lot? Oh, and that's all. By the way, buy my books on the occult and Satanism. And learn how you can liven your day, and empower yourself with some Satan occult magic. You have a good one.